Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today the topic is mean time to repair MTTR. Before we start, if you are new, so don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon. Now let's move to the video, which is when a component breaks, it needs to be repaired. Usually the repair time expressed as a mean time to repair MTTR is kept low by having a service contract with supplier of the component. Sometimes more parts are kept on site to the lower MTTR, then making the MTTR more like the mean time to replace. Typically, a faulty component is not required immediately. Some examples of might be needed for a complete repair are notification of the fault, processing the alarm, finding the root cause of the error, and looking as repairer to the information, getting up the important components from the storage, and having the technician come to the data center with the spare component. Physically, Physically, they are spare the components, repairing the fault, restarting and testing the component. Instead of these manual actions, the best way to keep the MTTR low is to introduce the automated redundancy and failovers are discussed in sections. Some calculations examples are decreasing the MTTR and increasing the MTBF. Both increase the availability. Dividing the MTTR by sum by the MTBF and MTTR results in the availability expressed as a percentage. For example, a power supply MTBF is 1,50,000 hours. This means that on average, power supply fails once every 1,50,000 hours and once per 17 years. If the time of the repair the power supply is 8 hours and the availability can be calculated as follows, which is the availability and then the process in which the repair time alone. This time component can never reach an average availability 99.999% to reach the 5/9 of availability. The repair time should be as low 90 minutes, which is discussed here. And then for this time this component now not after if it is downtime of 99.99% is applicable and acceptable per year and not over the total lifetime of the component, which is discussed below. And then the repair time must be given lower than the 6 minutes. As system complexity increases, usually availability decreases. When a failure of any one part is in system causes a failure of the system as a whole, the availability is also called the serial availability. To calculate the availability of such a complex component or divide the multiply the availability of all its parts. And then for example a server consists of following components with the MTTR and any part of the server in is to 8 hours and power supply, fan, system board, memory, CPU and NIC. The power supply is one MTTBF 1 and then the power supply is MTBF and MTTR the 8. MTTR is the same 8 hours but their MTBF time to time changes according to the availability. The availability of the total systems will be included in the process and servers can be calculated there. This lower than the availability of any single component in the system. Therefore, the more components of system includes and each component is critical for the total system and the lower the total availability becomes. To increase the availability systems composed of the various components and then that can be deployed in the parallel discouragely. That considerably increases the availability since the combined system no longer contains a single point of the failure. If one component becomes unavailable, the affected component goes down, but the other system can be taken over. Like availability decreases, MTTR they remain same, and MTBF will be increases time to time according to the component. If the component is power supply, then MTTR and availability remains the same, but their ratio at the end will be changed and their decimal points will also be changed. According to this, we will discuss this whole passage availability in the percentage. Thanks for watching my video.